So today we are doing legendary cartoonist Jim Davis. Full confession, I had like 20 books of Jim Davis's main cartoon strip. You know, the one he's famous for. I know that these aren't really, I mean, obviously everyone recognises Jon Arbuckle. But, you know, these characters are the human characters from that strip and from his work. The strip mostly focuses on John, but this is Liz the vet, Lyman, who is the roommate and friend of Jon Arbuckle. I'm saying experimental gay college fling. That's how I'm pinning that one. And then you have, of course, Jon Arbuckle's mother and father, showing the genetics, how he inherited her hair and his eyes and nose, because there's two kinds of noses, I don't know if you noticed. And Irma, the cafeteria waitress, who is just the best character in the whole strip, if you ask me. It needs more Irma. So, I know that Jim Davis is more famous for doing animal characters, and I may feature some of the characters from Orson's Farm, his other work, in a future video. Not during this month, this is the Human Faces month. I'm going to do animals in November, so that's going to be quite a while, but we are going to get there. I have a whole thing planned for October as well, but I'm not ready to announce that yet. So today I'm going to do two of my previous photograph references in the style of Jim Davis. So let's get the line down the centre first, just to divide it. That's me scratching my eye and probably tapping the camera and making an awful noise. But of course the sound's not going to the camera, is it? So that's fine. I worry that this isn't pointing directly at the board. I'll tip it up a little bit. Yeah, no, that should be pointing directly at the board. Yeah. So here's the interesting thing about Jim Davis's faces. They fall into a number of shape categories. So as you can see, most of these characters, they have this kind of the chin's further forward than the forehead look about them, which is like completely the opposite of how regular faces work. You would have the forehead and then it would kind of go in a bit for the mouth. But this is, I think, is to show that they have chubby cheeks. They all have chubby cheeks. So they all have this sort of circular head part and then like a wide part underneath them. And depending on how sort of wide this is, you can do a sort of fatter looking character or a more slender looking character. This is, of course, Becki again, and they have quite a slender face. So I'm going to go more toward this direction than this direction. Not quite as far as Irma, though, who has... Well, there's two styles of eyes that Jim Davis draws. There's the circular, just basically pupil identification eyes, the olive oil type eyes. And then there are your big round overlapping sort of Simpson style eyes. I call them Simpson style. Of course, Jim Davis was drawing years before Matt Groening. And also they're oval shaped, but like tall oval shape. They're like baked beans, which is just fascinating to me because that's not what shape eyes are at all. And yet for some reason, it looks really good. Like this is an art style that has you know, it's lasted through the years. And I'm really glad that his dad has a bald head as well, because that gives us a good direction to start with when drawing this art. So we know that to draw a face, I'm going to start on this one today because I feel like... Is that actually down the centre? Maybe it's because that's... Yeah, that's kind of down the centre. Yeah. I'd like the character to be facing inwards, and the two photographs, this one is facing this way, this one is going to face this way, so... Okay. So, first up, I'm going to try and define this head shape. So the head shape seems to be that you have the main portion of the head, and then you have a kind of extra part that comes out this way, if that makes sense. So they all have this kind of additional section. Then you have the ear arrives kind of there, and then where this meets, you have, of course, those huge eyes. Except that this first character is not going to have those, because there are two ways to draw Jim Davis eyes. There's the, like I say, the big round baked bean eyes, but then there's also the style of eyes that Irma, Lyman, and I'm not sure if John's mother is ever shown with open eyes. I think they might always be closed, except like if she's like really shocked, and then when she opens them, I think she gets Irma and Lyman style eyes. Not sure. It is interesting to note, by the way, that both John's mother and John's father have this pronounced chin. John does not, suggesting that John is in fact the descendant of John's father and Irma, which, you know, what can you say? But we're going to go for the button style nose. So this is going to be quite similar to John's mother's face here, with the big friendly smile. Little under chin there. Shall I do the... Yeah, I'm going to do the chin as well. I'm going to add that chin. Interesting to know, I made a mistake yesterday with the anime figure. When you have a mouth, it's best if the centre of the mouth lines up with the centre of the chin. So here we have the centre of the chin here, the centre of the mouth there, and that should come in that way to kind of meet up with that line. So that is my chin line. You see what I've done there? And then these eyes are kind of here and here. Now, that is this face essentially, but I'm going to change it up a little, because I'm going to change this to the... Actually, no, I'm going to remove the chin, because I think that this would actually look better as an Irma style face. So the head is just straight up round and going in for the ear. You have the sort of closed, contented looking eyes. The back end of the eye just sort of meets where the... I know that these eyes, they curl downwards, but if I did that, would it look... Actually, that might look right. That might look right. Because it's not... It's a more contented smile than a sort of very friendly smile. So... But then it needs to be closer to the nose, because the eye line, the place where the pupils always sit, is practically level with the nose, like there. So we need that to curl down to sort of that position. Like so. Now, I'm going to go for the Liz style hair, which means that we have a bit of forehead, and then we come back here. And this, because you see it swoops there and then comes down like this, which is exactly what this hair does. And that has a kind of... I guess you'd call it a sort of... You need a little bit of that ear visible, because this sort of... The edge of the ear kind of defines where the back edge of the hair goes. So that goes to there, comes up, has a scoop there and back, and this comes down to here, and that is literally all you see of that ear. And then this comes over here, and it's almost like a sort of a square corner. It's weirdly sharp, Like to say it's meant to be a round head, it's a weirdly sort of flat-edged appearance. That's the stylization. Because I didn't want to stick too much to the classic Jim Davis look. Now, of course, Jim Davis's characters also, they have one other defining feature, which is this sort of pencil-thin neck, which emanates about just behind the eyes almost. I feel like the eye is too far back. That should be a little further forward. If you look at the distance between the back of the head and the eye. That really does have to just be one straight, smooth curve, doesn't it? Some of the characters have a little overhang on the chin. Bring this up here. See that they have this little overhang on the chin just here. Some of them, it goes straight through. I'm going to give them a little, that part there, this part here. Hair comes back from just under there. And now Jon has this really fascinating extra little sort of stripe there, which defines the sort of the darker part of the hair. And I am tempted to do that on this part of the hair, just to give a kind of a sort of darkening effect in just that area, and have the rest be completely defined just by the shape outline, as it were. Which I think I'm going to do. Jon's hair also gets a little darker at the bottom there. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to stick with this. But before I ink this, I'm going to try and pencil both of them and ink the whole thing at once today. So face number 2. Now this is going to be a real challenge. And I'll tell you why this is going to be a real challenge, because I couldn't find a single Jim Davis character with a beard. Jim Davis occasionally draws Santa Claus with a beard. And of course, this is Bill, who is Santa Claus. But the Jim Davis Santa beard, I'll just use this piece of paper here. The Jim Davis Santa beard kind of comes around like a sort of teardrop shape, like that. Whereas it's a very round beard that Bill has. So I'm not sure that's going to work. But I'm going to work down from the eyes, because I'm going to give Bill the proper Big Jon style eyes. And I couldn't find a nice picture of it to put on this reference sheet. But the way in which Jim Davis draws spectacles is quite interesting, because what he does is he just draws the eyes and then adds the spectacles onto the outer edge of the eyes. That'll make sense when I've drawn it. So again, we'll have the main section of the head here. And then we have this larger section that comes forward like so. This feels too squat actually, that the heads are quite tall. Let's redo that. I feel like I've made that entire head the wrong shape. So I'm going to start again. Because sometimes just getting like the initial shape wrong can completely scupper the entire image. So let's get a nice tall circle in there. I know, a tall circle, what does that even mean? And then we have Bill's kind of lower area of the head here. And now I feel like if we just close that off, the eyes, of course, starting here, got to get that kind of perfect ovoid shape. I don't want to give Bill the Jon style nose. I'm going to go for the Irma and Jon's mother style nose again. The reason being that both of these actual people, I nearly said characters, they're not characters, these are human beings. Both of them have sort of nice rounded tips on their noses, and I would like that to carry forward into the actual comic, into the actual art, as it were. So if we stick with that, now the way in which you do this is once you've got, let's see if we can get those a little bit more precise actually. I've got like 10 different outlines on those eyes. That's where I'm going wrong. I'm trying to draw the eyes inside the head and they are not. Jim Davis's eyes are not inside the head. They go straight out from the head. Draw what you observe, Stacey. Draw what you observe. So they don't start there. They literally come out to here. Like the eye is level. If you look at sort of Jon's face, the eye is level with the front. Here it's only a little bit back from the front of that cheek. So this eye should actually bulge almost all the way out to there. And this one should join it sort of there. And they overlap a little. Actually, they overlap even more than that. Jesus. These characters shouldn't even be human. What the hell are we looking at here? They're like that. They're these crazy big eyes. And I'm starting to see why he doesn't draw the nose now, because yeah. Oh. If you draw the nose, it kind of wrecks what the eye looks like. I felt that's going to look like a minion, but now Bill's hair is kind of curly, but it's also... Does Lyman have a receding hairline? I feel like I should draw the hair starting about here. To capture Bill's kind of... See, Bill's glasses are squarer at the top. I wonder if the way in which you would draw Bill's glasses in Jim Davis's style is to actually square off the top of the eyes like this and draw them like that. Giving you this kind of shape to the glasses. So then that is the shape that the mouth would be, were it not for the fact that Bill has a beard and moustache. And here's where it gets interesting. These need to be big round curls. Because Bill, of course, has the moustache. If you're drawing it Lyman style, it should just look like that. Which I've always found kind of bizarre. I don't know if you ever... I couldn't find a high-res picture of Lyman. But it literally just looks like that when you draw Lyman's mouth. which is really confusing because it's not obvious that it's meant to be a moustache. So as a child, I believed that Lyman had this freaky row of teeth. But if we continue that style and draw the beard going all the way up, this isn't very accurate, this is just me kind of... And then you would have to draw the beard doing this. So you're literally just drawing a kind of... The beard would cover that line. So this, you kind of need to have that sort of larger style nose. So Bill would have... Would it look like that? How would that look? I'm kind of flying blind here, just attempting to replicate something that this artist has never actually drawn. Well, something that they've never drawn in this style. Like if I was to draw the Santa beard version of this, it would just be smooth like that, and then I would, you know, draw the whole thing. But I feel like we don't need that part. It just needs to be so much destruction on this eraser. It just needs to be a smile that kind of starts underneath the nose, comes up like this, but is a beard smile. Does it look a lot like like Bill? Probably not. Does it look a lot like the artwork of Jim Davis? Yes. Yes, I think it does. Tiny little ears here, aren't they? Really tiny. And when the ears are well defined, they have a single curve there and a curve that goes in like that. Cute ear. And then, of course, the beard comes around that way, the hair comes around this way. I feel like the hairline needs to recede a bit more. Sorry, Bill. So sorry, Bill. That the hairline needs to come sort of more kind of there. So you would actually show that part of the head. I used to have a cousin, well, I still do have a cousin called Beverly, but she used to be an amazing artist. I don't know if she still draws, but she went to art college, what would you call it? What would you call it? Art school. And the work that she did in art school, she did these really high detail images of Jim Davis's art. Like, she really knocked it out of the park. This hair should come further forward here. I'm going to have that cover the arm of the glasses. You see, I almost went to ink there before I was ready. But now I'm ready. Yes, that has clinched it. That's Bill. It doesn't look like Bill, but it will when I ink it. So I'm going to ink this one first because I feel like there's a lot of quantum knowledge going on here that needs to be rectified. First things first, I'm going to add that nose in. Just because that's going to occlude the glasses and I want to get that right. So starting with the top edge of this. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of Timmy Mallet, the cartoon images of Timmy Mallet that were used to promote a lot of his work. They had this kind of look to them. They had this whenever they drew his glasses, they had that kind of appearance of being sort of around the whole eye. You know, they should have been looking forward, really, if I'm going to match this. Shit, it's too late now. Now he's looking at them. So that's just how this shook out. Let's get that mouth on there. It'd be interesting to know who did those early pictures of Timmy Mallet, actually, because I know that Timmy Mallet paints now, but I don't think he was always an artist. I think that was like a thing he had to sort of develop into. So Bill, of course, has the darker hair on top, but he has this sort of light bit here. And so going by the way that Jon's hair has this kind of striping to it, I'm very tempted to do the same kind of striping, but to actually take over the dark into this sort of upper part of the hair. Where it kind of enters this darker area here. That probably isn't Jim Davis style. But if I invert it, it could be. Did you hear that? That was the sound of me becoming a genius. Trying to turn the paper less today because I know that it's a crutch that I need to get over, which is that there are certain hand movements which I know I can make well, and I tend to tilt the paper to better suit those kind of curves because I know I can do them well. But if I'm going to draw on a big drawing board, or if I'm going to draw in situ, oh yeah, as soon as lockdown's over, graffiti week coming soon. But if I have to draw in situ on something which I cannot turn, I need to have the penmanship. Penpersonship? to essentially do the lines where I need to draw them without turning the paper. The other thing to note is I did a lot of it kind of looks terrible. I feel like maybe what I need to do is fill in the spectacle lines, but I'm not sure that will help. I'm going to draw a neck because I feel like it needs one. Before I fill in the spectacle lines, I'm going to consider it, and I'm going to come over and ink this other image first. Because I feel like this one is going to be an easy win. Famous last words. Does Liz have any hair coming out the front? Liz does have hair coming out the front. And so does Becki. So let's just... You know, we'll add that last if we do that. We will add that last. So this hair first comes back here. Okay, and then I'm going to just darken it a little bit. But then this whole front section is dark, so maybe what I need to do is darken this whole thing and have that. If I do that, and I basically say I'm going to colour this entire section here. Don't know why I've drawn both sides on that, because I'm going to fill it in pretty much entirely from that point forward. Oh, I said I wasn't going to turn the paper. Stick to your guns, Stacey. Do not turn that paper. Fly on my paper. Don't turn it. You want to turn it, but you're not going to. You're going to develop control on underside curves. That's what you're going to do. Use it as practice. Because the real difficulty is doing curves that go that way, especially large ones. See, this just needs to be entirely filled in. This doesn't need any of that. The part that needs this type of transitioning is here. That's where it goes. Are we going to add a... Yeah, I'm going to add a curl out the front as well. Look at this. Freehand, just like Jim does. And it's not big enough, but that's okay. We can work with that. We can live with that, I mean. Can we, though? Have I just wrecked it? No, it's fine. And I'm going to colour those glasses as well, because I can. And because Bill's glasses have black rims. There's actually a massive canon change in the comics of Jim Davis, because Jon's grandmother used to be drawn very similar to Jon's mother, with the Irma style eyes and Irma style hair. Well, not Irma style hair, but like tightly pulled into a single bun on top of the head. I'm turning the paper again. Said I wasn't going to do that. I'm going to get out of that habit. Nope, keep the paper straight. Come on. Boom. And we're done. Let's get some of those pencils off. Remove the chaos to reveal the structure underneath. Don't let the ink spread. Ink spreading is the biggest problem that I have with these erasers. And look how much black dust comes off of that. Is that the eraser's fault? Would a different eraser not do that? Or is it because I'm doing very heavy erasing of very heavy pencil marks on top of very solid ink? One day I'll look into an alternative. Maybe get myself one of those fancy Faber-Castell kneadable style putty erasers. Yeah. My cousin Beverly was an amazing artist, and I really thought she was going to go far with it, but it turns out when you're born to a working class family in Sheffield, there's not really much you can do. To get big in the art world. I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to be able to do with this to get that off. When I scan these images, I get a lot of gamma correction to get rid of the, you can see the sort of residual smudge marks. I do a lot of gamma correction to get rid of that. Boom. That doesn't look a lot like Bill. That doesn't look a lot like Becki. They both kind of look like Jim Davis's art style, but I feel like the eyes aren't big enough. The eyes aren't big enough. And the lines aren't thick enough. I guess that's because Jim Davis draws them small to do several of them in a panel in his cartoon strip, the name of which escapes me right now. You see, I'm actually drawing the shape of these strokes in. I'm pretty sure that Jim Davis has like just a single brush or a pen that draws that thickness. You know, I'm gonna connect that up there and here to have the hair sort of transition a bit more naturally. Yeah, there we go. What if I put my lid? Tomorrow is Aaron Williams.